Deep inside the dense forest of Sundargati, a powerful leopard named Raka roamed freely. Known for his agility and golden-spotted coat, Raka was the pride of the jungle. One bright morning, while searching for food near a small stream, he heard a faint buzzing sound coming from a fallen tree trunk. Curious, Raka walked closer. The scent of sweet honey filled the air, irresistible to any animal. But little did he know, danger was hidden within that tempting smell. Inside the trunk lived thousands of poisonous bees, fiercely guarding their hive. As Raka nudged the log with his paw, a swarm of angry bees burst out in rage. Within seconds, they surrounded him, stinging his eyes, nose, and ears. The mighty leopard roared in pain and tried to escape, but the bees followed relentlessly. Panicked, Raka ran through the forest, his roars echoing through the trees. The noise reached the nearby forest rescue unit, who were on patrol. Hearing the leopard's distress, the team immediately sprang into action. Wearing protective suits and carrying smoke canisters, they followed the trail of the frightened animal. When they found Raka, he was lying weak beside a rock, covered with bees and struggling to breathe. The rescuers quickly created a smoke barrier to drive the swarm away. Slowly, the bees began to retreat as the thick smoke filled the air. Two rescuers used long nets and spray devices to ensure the area was safe before approaching the leopard. The team's vet carefully examined Raka. His body was covered with hundreds of stings, and his eyes were swollen. They sedated him gently to relieve his pain and began cleaning the wounds with antiseptic. They applied a special herbal ointment to neutralize the bee venom. After hours of treatment, Raka was safely lifted onto a stretcher and transported to the Forest Animal Care Center. Over the next few days, the rescue team monitored his condition closely. Raka regained his strength slowly, his appetite returned, and the swelling began to fade. The story of his rescue spread across the region, highlighting the bravery and dedication of the forest rangers. After 2 weeks of care, Raka was finally released back into the wild, stronger, wiser, and more cautious. He stood at the edge of the forest, looked back once as if thanking his rescuers, and disappeared into the trees. The rescue team watched with pride. Another life saved. Another reminder of why their mission mattered: to protect every creature, no matter how wild, from the unexpected dangers of nature. Moral: every life in the forest, big or small, deserves protection. Courage and compassion can turn tragedy into triumph. Weeks passed since Raka, the majestic leopard, had been rescued from the deadly swarm of poisonous bees. Deep in the green heart of the Sundargati forest, he was now healthy again, his golden fur gleaming under the soft rays of the morning sun. But Raka was not the same anymore. The memory of that day still haunted him, the stinging pain, the burning in his eyes, and the helplessness he felt when the swarm had nearly ended his life. Yet, nature had its own way of healing wounds. With every sunrise, Raka grew stronger and more confident. He started to hunt again, marking his territory and exploring new corners of the forest. The forest seemed peaceful, until one fateful afternoon. A heavy storm swept across Sundargati. Trees were uprooted, branches crashed to the ground, and the river overflowed its banks. The forest animals scattered for safety. When the storm finally settled, Raka emerged from his den, sniffing the damp air. But something unusual caught his attention, a faint cry echoing through the forest. It was the cry of a baby deer, frightened and trapped. Following the sound, Raka found the young fawn stuck in a patch of thick mud near the stream. The poor creature struggled weakly, unable to move. For a moment, Raka hesitated. As a predator, his instincts told him to hunt. But the memory of his own suffering, the pain and the help he received from humans, stirred something deep inside him. Instead of attacking, Raka did something unexpected. He carefully stepped closer and began to dig around the fawn with his paws, loosening the mud. The little deer, trembling with fear, didn't move. Slowly, after several attempts, the fawn managed to pull one leg free. With a final push from Raka's paw, the baby deer stumbled out of the mud and ran toward the trees, bleeding in fear but alive. Raka watched silently as it disappeared into the forest. A sense of calm filled his heart, the same kind of peace he had seen in the eyes of his rescuers. It was as if he finally understood what compassion truly meant. However, Raka's act of kindness didn't go unnoticed. Nearby, a forest ranger named Amit, part of the same rescue team that had once saved him, was conducting a post-storm inspection. Through his binoculars, he spotted the leopard near the stream and froze, not in fear, but in awe. He had just witnessed a wild predator helping another animal. After the daring rescue in the scorching desert, the scimitar-horned oryx was safely transported to the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, located near the edge of the Sahara. The journey was long, but the team remained alert and calm, ensuring the exhausted creature received constant care. Inside the vehicle, a medic kept the oryx hydrated through a saline drip while another rescuer gently fanned it to keep its body temperature stable. When they finally reached the center, veterinarians immediately began treatment. The oryx's body bore dozens of swollen stings from the venomous bees, especially around its neck and muzzle. "It's a miracle it survived that swarm," one of the doctors said softly as he examined the wounds. The team worked through the night, cleaning each sting, applying herbal ointments, and carefully removing dead stingers from its thick fur. By morning, the oryx opened its eyes weakly, its long lashes fluttering in the sunlight filtering through the tent. Though still weak, its breathing was steadier. The rescue team stood nearby, exhausted but smiling. The animal they had risked their lives for was finally safe. Over the next few days, the oryx began a slow recovery. It was placed in a shaded enclosure with fresh grass and clean water. A veterinarian monitored its heart rate and temperature daily, while caretakers brought nutritious meals rich in minerals to restore its strength. Gradually, the swelling began to fade. The once frightened creature started to regain its natural elegance, standing tall, lifting its magnificent horns toward the morning sun. Meanwhile, the rescue team didn't stop their work there. The incident had raised serious concerns about bee aggression in desert zones. The team decided to conduct an investigation to understand what caused such a violent swarm. They returned to the area where the attack had occurred, fully equipped with protective suits and cameras. After careful observation, they discovered that a prolonged drought had forced the bees to move closer to water sources where animals often wandered. With their habitat disturbed and resources scarce, the bees had become more defensive and aggressive. The rescuers documented everything and shared their findings with the Desert Wildlife Research Organization, hoping to create awareness and prevent future attacks. Back at the center, the oryx's progress inspired everyone. It had begun walking freely in its enclosure and even started interacting with other rescued animals. Children visiting the center were told its story, how a brave team had saved an endangered creature from certain death. The oryx became a symbol of resilience and the delicate balance between nature and survival. After nearly 2 weeks, the day finally came to release the oryx back into the wild. The team selected a location far from human settlements and bee colonies, a wide, peaceful valley filled with acacia trees and soft dunes. As the gates of the transport crate opened, the oryx stepped out gracefully, pausing for a moment to take in the scent of freedom. The wind blew softly across its white coat as it began to trot forward, its curved horns gleaming under the golden sun. The rescuers watched silently, their hearts filled with pride. For them, this was not just a rescue mission, it was a victory for compassion, teamwork, and hope. As the oryx disappeared into the horizon, one rescuer smiled and said, "Every life saved is a message, that kindness still survives in this world." The story of the scimitar-horned oryx's rescue spread across the conservation community, inspiring new efforts to protect endangered desert species. It was a warm afternoon in a small farming village surrounded by green fields and dusty roads. The peaceful silence of the countryside was suddenly shattered by a loud braying, a desperate cry for help. A poor donkey, used by local farmers to carry goods, had accidentally disturbed a massive beehive hidden inside a hollow tree. Within seconds, thousands of angry bees swarmed around the terrified animal. The donkey ran wildly across the field, kicking and crying in pain as the bees stung its face, ears, and back. Farmers nearby tried to help but couldn't get close. The swarm was too dense and aggressive. Someone quickly called the local animal rescue team, known for handling emergencies involving wild animals and insects. Within minutes, the rescue team arrived in a specialized truck equipped with protective suits and smoke equipment. The team leader, Mr. Harris, assessed the situation and immediately ordered everyone to clear the area. 2 rescuers put on thick bee protection suits and prepared the smoke devices, while another team member brought a large net and first aid supplies for the donkey. Slowly and carefully, they approached the frightened animal. Using smoke to calm the bees, they managed to drive the swarm away from the donkey body. The rescuers gently covered the animal with a protective sheet and guided it toward safety. Despite the chaos, they worked calmly and efficiently, ensuring the donkey would not panic further. After 20 tense minutes, the last of the bees dispersed back toward their hive. The rescuers quickly examined the donkey. Its face was swollen, and there were multiple stings across its body, but thankfully, none were life-threatening. They cleaned the wounds, applied soothing ointment, and gave the donkey an injection to reduce swelling and prevent infection. Villagers gathered around, watching in relief as the donkey began to calm down. It nuzzled one of the rescuers gently, as if expressing gratitude. The rescue team decided to take the animal to a nearby animal shelter for full recovery and observation. Later that evening, the rescue operation was praised across social media. People admired the bravery and compassion of the rescuers who risked being stung to save a helpless creature. The story became a symbol of kindness, a reminder that every life, no matter how small or humble, deserves protection and care. The next morning, golden sunlight filtered through the thin curtains of the small village animal shelter. Birds chirped outside as life slowly returned to normal after yesterday's chaos. Inside the shelter, the rescued donkey, now affectionately named Lucky by the team, rested on a bed of soft hay. His eyes were half open, still showing traces of exhaustion but also calmness. Rescuer Mr. Harris, who had led the operation, arrived early to check on Lucky. "Good morning, buddy," he said softly, placing a bucket of fresh water nearby. The donkey raised his head, sniffed, and took a long sip before lowering it again. For a moment, Harris just stood there, quietly smiling. "You're one tough little fighter," he murmured. The shelter's veterinarian, Drive, Liza Morgan, soon joined him. She gently examined Lucky, checking his temperature and inspecting the healing stings. "He's improving faster than expected," she noted. "But we'll keep him under observation for a few more days. The swelling is going down, and his appetite is returning." Lucky's rescue had touched the hearts of many. News of the brave operation spread quickly through the village and nearby towns. Local children brought vegetables and carrots for him. Farmers came by to thank the rescue team, saying the story gave them hope that compassion still existed in the modern world. That afternoon, the rescue team decided to clean up the old beehive area to ensure no one else got hurt. When they arrived at the site, they found that the bees had calmed down and returned to their hive peacefully. Instead of destroying it, the team chose a more balanced approach. They contacted a local beekeeper, who carefully relocated the hive to a safe area near the forest where it wouldn't threaten people or animals. "We saved both sides," said Harris proudly. "The donkey is safe, and the bees get to live, just in a better place." Days of recovery. Over the next few days, Lucky began to show signs of trust and gratitude toward his rescuers. Whenever Harris or Drive, Liza entered the barn, he would bray softly and nudge their hands with his nose. The team members often joked that Lucky seemed to understand that these humans had saved his life. One day, while Harris was cleaning the stable, he noticed Lucky following him around closely. Every time Harris stopped, Lucky would stop too, tilting his head as if asking what was next. "Looks like you've got yourself a friend," teased one of the volunteers, a young woman named Emily, who had joined the rescue center a few months earlier. Emily took special care of Lucky. She brushed his coat, fed him fresh hay, and even sang to him while cleaning the shelter. "You're a brave boy," she'd whisper as she stroked his ears. "No more bees, I promise." Within a week, Lucky's wounds had healed significantly. His fur started to shine again, and he began walking more confidently around the yard. Dr. Liza decided it was time for gentle outdoor exercise to rebuild his strength. The emotional connection. Every day, Emily led Lucky out for short walks around the field behind the shelter. At first, he was hesitant, flinching at the buzzing of harmless flies. But over time, he realized he was safe. Emily would laugh softly, saying, "See, not all buzzing means trouble." Soon, the villagers started visiting regularly, bringing apples and taking pictures. Children would giggle as Lucky nudged them gently, his calm demeanor winning over everyone's heart. He became a small local celebrity, the donkey who survived the bees. News channels picked up the story, and one national television station aired a short segment titled, "Bravery in the Countryside, the Donkey That Touched a Nation." The video showed clips of the rescue operation, interviews with the rescue team, and scenes of Lucky recovering happily. The video quickly went viral online. People from across the country sent messages of admiration and donations to support the rescue center. Some even visited to meet Lucky in person. Harris was overwhelmed by the response. "We never expected such love for a simple animal," he said during an interview. "It shows that kindness can still unite people." The Festival of Thanks. 2 weeks later, the village council decided to hold a small Festival of Thanks to celebrate Lucky's rescue and to honor the team's bravery. The event took place in the main square, decorated with colorful banners and flowers. Lucky, now completely healed, was brought to the event wearing a small blue ribbon around his neck. The crowd cheered as he trotted beside Emily and Harris. Children ran up with carrots and apples, and even the village mayor gave a short speech. "This rescue showed us something important," the mayor said. "That compassion, courage, and teamwork can overcome even the most unexpected dangers." Lucky's survival reminds us that every life, no matter how humble, has value. Applause filled the air. Harris smiled proudly, looking at his team. Emily wiped a tear from her eye, whispering to Lucky, "See. You're a hero now. A new beginning." After the festival, the rescue team received a proposal from a local sanctuary to adopt Lucky permanently. The sanctuary was a large green farm where rescued animals could live freely, cared for by professionals. However, Harris and Emily were unsure. They had grown deeply attached to Lucky. They visited the sanctuary to see it for themselves. It was peaceful. Green fields, trees, and other animals like goats, sheep, and ponies roaming freely. "He'll be happy here," said the sanctuary owner kindly. When they returned to the shelter that evening, Emily sat beside Lucky and gently patted his mane. "They say it's paradise for animals," she said. "But I'll miss you every day." Lucky rested his head on her shoulder, as if understanding her words. After a long discussion, the team agreed it was best for Lucky. The next morning, the entire rescue crew accompanied him to the sanctuary. As they opened the gate, Lucky hesitated for a moment, then stepped forward into the green pasture. He looked back once, brayed softly, and trotted off toward the other animals. Tears welled in Emily's eyes. Harris placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "We did our part," he said gently. "He's safe, free, and happy. That's what matters." Epilogue. The message of compassion. Weeks passed, and the rescue team returned to their daily duties, helping injured birds, stranded dogs, and even rescuing wildlife during storms. Yet Lucky's story remained a source of pride and inspiration. Children who visited the rescue center would often ask, "Where's Lucky?" And the team would smile, telling them about his new life at the sanctuary. Photos of the donkey decorated the walls of the office, with a caption underneath. "Greater than, rescued from the swarm. He taught us the power of kindness." Months later, Emily visited the sanctuary again. When she called out his name, Lucky immediately recognized her and trotted over, braying excitedly. She laughed through her tears, hugging his neck. "I told you I'd visit," she whispered. The bond between them, between human and animal, between savior and survivor, was unbreakable. That day, as Emily left the sanctuary, She stopped for a moment to watch Lucky graze peacefully under the shade of a tall oak tree. Sunlight glistened on his fur, and bees buzzed harmlessly among the flowers nearby, a quiet reminder of how far he had come. And somewhere deep within the peaceful rhythm of nature, the world seemed to whisper a simple truth. Bravery is not just in fighting danger, but in showing compassion when it's needed most.